This lesson is on function operations, and you will hopefully remember from Algebra 1 that f of x is the same as or equal to the letter y. It is important that you know that the answer to f of x, or y value, is your output. F stands for the name of your function, and what's in parentheses is your input. So when you put whatever's in parentheses into the function, you get the output. So it's very important in these expressions over here that you notice that the variable, the input, is the variable in the expression, okay? So x, t, a, and star. It doesn't matter if it's a letter or a symbol, all right? So way back a long time ago, you learned just adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing of numbers. Then you learned with variables. Now we're going to talk about adding, subtracting, multiplying, no dividing, and compositions of functions. Okay? So, all right. All right, I'm not really sure. This threw me off. What happened down here? So this should say composition of f and g. And what it should look like is f of g of x could also look like f, and it's an open circle, so be very careful because multiply is a closed circle, g of x, okay? All right, so we are given the two functions f of x and g of x, and they want us to do the following. Okay, so the first one, they're telling us function f and g, they want us to add them. All right, so notice it can look two different ways. So we have 2x squared minus 3x, and we're going to add to that x. So combine your like terms, and we get 2x squared minus 2x. Done. So that's what f plus g of x equals, 2x squared minus 2x. Next one, f minus g of x. So we're going to take f of x, 2x squared minus 3x, and we're going to subtract x. Since it's a monomial, the parentheses don't matter. So we're going to combine like terms. So 2x squared minus 3 minus 1 is minus 4x. So f minus g of x is 2x squared minus 4x. The next one is multiplying. Ooh, a little bit tricky. So f times g of x. So we're going to take f of x, which is 2x squared minus 3x, and we're going to multiply it by x. So really this is just the distributive property if we move this in front, because order doesn't matter when we multiply. So we have 2x to the third minus 3x squared. Are you getting the hint on these? These three are not difficult at all. The composition is a little bit tricky, so that's going to take some time. So we have f of g of x. So just like add, subtract, multiply are operations, a composition is also an operation. So this is saying take g of x and plug it in to the f of x. Okay? So what is g of x? G of x is just x. So right now it's telling me f of x. Well, what's f of x? It's 2x squared minus 3x. What if it had said f of g of a? Well, g of a means I take g of x, and instead of x, I put a. So the answer to g of a is a. So now it's telling me f of a. So instead of x, I'm putting a. So it'd be 2a squared minus 3a. So it's not giving me a number to put in, it's giving me a variable. That's confusing for some kids. All right, so now I have the open circle. The open circle is the same as the double parenthesis. This time they're telling me, though, g of f of x. So I'm starting with f of x. So I start with the right when I do a composition, and I move left. Okay? So composition read right to left. All right, so f of x, what's f of x? It's 2x squared minus 3x. So I'm taking g of that. What the heck does that mean? Well, that means instead of x, I'm going to put this in its place. Well, the good news is that just equals 2x squared minus 3x because it was just equal to x. I didn't have to do anything to it. All right, hopefully I didn't lose you too bad. If so, we've got lots more to practice, and you can ask questions tomorrow in class. All right, subtracting again, but this time the order is different. So we have g first, which is x, minus f of x, which is 2x squared minus 3x. Remember, when you're subtracting, you have to switch the signs. So we have x minus, this was positive, so now it becomes negative. This is negative, now it becomes positive. Combine your like terms and put it in the right order, which means highest exponent to a constant. So x and 3x is 4x. So g minus f of x is negative 2x squared plus 4x. Next one, 2 times f of negative 3. What? All right, start here. F of negative 3. What does that mean? Well, normally it says f of x. So it's just telling you x is negative 3. So wherever x is, you're going to put a negative 3. So go ahead and put that in your calculator. Get your answer. You should get 27. Now the answer to f of 3 is 27. So it tells me to do what? It tells me to take 2 times that, which is 54. All right, last one. Negative g of 5 plus 3 f of 1. So g of 5. So instead of x, I'm putting 5. So instead of x, I'm putting 5. So this is negative 5. Plus 3 of f of 1. 2 times 1 squared minus 3 times 1. My advice, put that baby in the calculator. Hopefully you got negative 8. All right, next page. Now we're going to do some more algebra examples and then some graphing ones. All right, exercise 2. We have 2 new functions, f of x and g of x, and they want us to find the values. We have parenthesis notation and we have the open circle notation. So again, read right to left. So we're going to start with f of negative 2. So in the f function, we're going to put negative 2 where x is. So negative 2 squared minus 5. If you don't put that negative 2 in parentheses, you are not going to get the right answer. So we have an answer of negative 1. So f of negative 2 is negative 1. Now we're looking for g of negative 1. So now we're going to go to the g function, and we're going to put negative 1 in for x. So 2 times negative 1 plus 3 is 1. You do not do anything with these 2 answers. This is the final answer. So g of f of negative 2 equals 1. All right, so let's try the next one. They use the f function twice. So f of negative 1 is, to put negative 1 in for x, so negative 1 squared minus 5 is negative 4. So the answer to this one is negative 4. So now we're finding f of negative 4. So we have negative 4 squared minus 5, which is 11. So f of negative 1 is 11. This takes lots of practice. It's new. All right. So again, remember, this is the x value. This is the y value. This was your input. This is your output. Okay? So when we talk about graphs in the next exercise, we have to remember that the number in parentheses is my input. So f of 2. 2 is x in the f function. Notice they're labeled differently. So I'm going to go to the f function and look for where x equals 2. 1, 2. What's the y value? Well, it's 2, 3. So this answer is 3. This output is 3. So now I'm looking for g of 3, which means x equals 3 in the g function. So I got to go over here. 1, 2, 3. Here it is. It's 3, 3. So the answer is 3. So g of f of 2 is 3. All right. Next one, we're starting with g of 0. So that means x equals 0 in the g function. Well, it equals 0 right here at 0, 0. So g of 0 is 0. So now we're looking for f of 0. So that means x equals 0 in the f function. So right here, we have 0, 2. So the answer to that is 2. So f of g of 0 equals 2. So your input gives you an output. That output becomes the next input, which gives you a new output. Confusing, I know. All right, last one, g of 1. So that means x equals 1 in the g function. So my ordered pair is 1, 3. So my output, g of 1, is 3. So now I'm looking for g of 3, which means x equals 3 in the g function again. Well, g of 3 is 3. So g of 1 is 3. All right, I have faith in your ability to read word problems. Go ahead and try exercise 4 and exercise 5 that you try. Continue the video to check your answers. All right, hopefully you did not find those too challenging. Go ahead, pause the video to check your work. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in class tomorrow. Good luck!